Hey Funky friends, this is Amy aka Funky Mama 0703. This is going to be a special video. It is October 23rd and this video is in honor of my father who passed in 2016. This video is going to be honoring the gentleman that he was. And anybody who knew him who has seen this video or watches this video, please put a comment in the bottom just letting us know how you connected with my father and how you knew him. He was a crazy guy, and he was where I got a lot of my strange jokes. I guess now they're called dad jokes, and that pretty much is what his were just strange, crazy little comments. My father was born in October 23rd, 1931. He was the 8th child of the family, youngest boy who survived. He did have a little brother who had passed, a matter of like a week old, if that. He was the son that was born directly after my grandfather got into an airplane accident, which is cool because it was noteworthy because my grandfather, a brother-in-law, and my grandfather's brother were in a small aircraft, and they were known, well, they were actually the first reported accident at this airport, or the local airport. And after it just got named the new, what it was called, or what's been called since, they had owned a number of the local taxi companies, and they had used the money from that to buy an airplane, and one of their cousins was flying this airplane, and apparently they crashed. My grandfather survived only because his brother Robert had thrown himself in front of my grandfather and saved his life, basically. So my father was the first child born after that, or first boy born after that accident, and therefore was able to, was given the name of my, of his uncle, basically honoring him for giving his life to save my grandpa, which was amazing, because you always wonder, there are so many what ifs in life. If something had happened to my grandfather at that time, my father wouldn't have been here, and hence I wouldn't be here. And some people might say that was a good thing, but I don't. I love being here. He was raised in a very staunch, I'm trying to think of a good term for it, very staunch Protestant Lutheran family. And they had a lot of, he had brothers and sisters that were older than him. Like I said, he was within the youngest 3 of the family, and he had like 7 brothers and sisters that were older than him. And they they raised him, took care of him, gave him crap, whatever siblings do. He was did not graduate from high school, and if you look on the wall at the school, one of our local high schools, he's in their wall of honor. His name is on there. All they had to do was have to attend. He did attend all 4 years in high school, but did not graduate because he was not one of the better students. But he was a great guy. He went into the military. Him and several of his friends had signed up for enlisted instead of being drafted during the Korean War. Their story was always they joined so that they didn't have to be put where the military wanted to put them. So my father got put into the Air Force because, my father didn't get put. He signed up for the Air Force, figuring, he'd be flying planes. He would be, he wouldn't be behind enemy lines or all that. And the odd thing is, because he had bad eyesight, he wasn't flying. They didn't let him fly the planes. So he was put into radio. He was in charge of the radio. So he was calling attacks on the enemy from behind enemy lines. So he basically just screwed himself up. But he was happy. He was happy. He had a lot of good stories, a lot of very touching stories about his military time. It was the most fun is listening to him. MASH was always one of his favorite TV shows because, of course, it was dealing with his war. And the really cool thing was he would always tell me, and I don't know how truthful it was or what was going on. He was apparently put in charge of, or he was with the Royal Air Force, which was, according to him, just down the road a piece from the MASH 477. So that's one of the reasons why he said he loved that show, because it was, he knew the area, which wasn't really the area. It was in California. But, he claimed to have been dealing with the military or the MASH in that area. And whether it was true or not, I don't know, how old men tell their stories. But he had a lot of things that he had said there. Those were a lot more of the what ifs. If he hadn't had survived a couple of the instances, we may not have been here as well. My mother and him met and fell in love after he got back in 64, I believe, 63, 64, fell in love at the mental hospital they worked at, which explains, like I said, so many things about me and my siblings. We are a little kind of weird, but it's okay because we were happy weird. But they met and fell in love there, and by 65 they were married. No, by 64 they were married. They married quick, and by 65 they had my son. 66 or 67 they had me, and then later down the road my sister was born in 72. Dad was a good employee. He really enjoyed his job. He worked with the mentally insane children who he had some really bad stories he would kind of let us know about. And I remember resenting those kids because he was able to do things with them that he never did with us. Like he would take them to Six Flags. He would take them to Wisconsin Dells. He would take them to, out camping or whatever. And they never did that with us. We were homebodies. We were a family who stayed home all the time. And we never got to go out and have a lot of fun like that. But, I guess there was a part of me that resented the fact that we were never able to do that. But having dealt with people and what my life has been, I understand why him and my mother really preferred not dealing with society. After dealing with the people that they worked with, I can see why they would be a little leery of dealing with society in itself, because they dealt with the dregs of society. They dealt with people who killed children or killed their wives or killed, other people. Jeffrey Dahmer, my mom had him at her in her ward for a short period of time while they did observation. My dad had his bunch as well. Just sick individuals that they had to deal with, and it was their job. It was their daily thing. My father was a wonderful father. He was the fun individual, the one that would take us out for A&W in our small town, so that we were just watching baseball. My cousin played baseball, so we would sit and watch him play baseball and then go over to the local A&W and have ice cream and floats and that type thing. So he was the one that we used to do fun things with and goof off with. He was the man that I have based every relationship that I want after. I look at my son and I see my dad as a regular basis. I mean, I knew that when my father passed that it was going to be a hard time for me, because my son was going to remind me a lot of him. And I absolutely love my boy, and I'm glad to see my dad and him now. It took a while to get to that point, but I'm glad to see my father and my son. Just so many things. He was a wonderful man. And like I said, every relationship I've ever had, I tried to base it or find a man like my father, and I have never been able to. And I think they really broke the mold with the guy. He was one of the best. But I just wanted to do a video in celebration of his life. I got him into playing the game The Sims back when it was way back, Sims 1, 2002, 2001, 2002. I got pretty much my whole family addicted to it. But he was one that got into it, and he loved to take the figures they had and then redo the faces with actual pictures, so that he had just multitudes of photos of people that he had pulled off from the internet, and he had a number of them of his own. And so when I went through looking through his computer to try to find cleaning out the things that he had, I went through and found files of his own pictures of him that he had found and collected and scanned into the computer so that he could use for making himself in The Sims. And it was actually kind of cute, but there was a lot of pictures that I never imagined I would have found with my father. So it was kind of neat to have that archive. And that's going to be part of the slideshow after this in honor of my father's birthday. He would have been 58. Yeah, 58 this year. So I just wanted to say, whatever your belief is, wherever he is, I know my dad is in heaven. He had a very childlike, simple religion. He believed in that his faith was good. He believed in God, and he believed in Jesus. It was funny because I remember more times than not, even way before he started slipping into dementia, I remember my father telling me about how he would be sitting on a park bench in his dreams, and he was sitting there with God talking. And it was kind of neat to see such a simple belief that he was really sitting there and talking to, the Almighty Father. And it had done a lot to help him feel at ease whenever he had issues happening or whatever. His belief was, if you can't change it, leave it to God. And he did. A lot of things he just left to God. And part of it was his cancer, I believe, was left to the Father. If it was God's will, it's God's will. But my father had a very easy, simple religion and belief. And I think I got a little bit of that from him, where I have my faith, I know what I believe, and it may not be institutionalized in a religion, but it is what I believe. And that is where my father's influence came in. But he had a belief of himself, and it was very soft. He didn't believe in institutionalized church either. He had been raised Lutheran as a child. He spent a majority of his years going to, his Lutheran courses, and he went to a Lutheran school. He just never really got into the whole faith or church-based religion. I guess I kind of go along that route because I do believe what I believe, and it doesn't always match up with what others might believe my religion is or what my faith should be. But his was very childlike, and he believed that if something was to happen, it was going to happen. And you just give it to God and let God deal with it. And he was just an amazing individual. So, trying to think. So I think with this, I'm going to be letting you go. If you guys know my father or have anything to say, comment below. I'd love to hear what your comments are. I'm going to continue on with just doing a slideshow of some of the pictures I've got and some of the happy times. Weddings, gatherings, whatever. He did collect a lot of pictures himself, which I think was really a cool thing. And I'd like to be able to share those with you. If you have any comments, let me know. If you like this, whatever, do what you need. But I just wanted to say happy birthday, Daddy, and say I love you. I miss you. I think of you every day, and you are a angel. You have directed my life since your passing, and just having you be my dad was the best thing in my life. I've never met any gentleman that I care about more. And I don't think there is ever going to be a man that matches you. I mean, I'm trying to raise my son to be like you, Dad. You've done so much. You've always been there. You've always loved us. And you've always just believed. And I love you. And I miss you. I miss every day I hear your voice in my head at night. And I pray every night that you're in a good place and you're happy. And I know we'll be with you soon. And I love you, Daddy. Bye, guys. Thank you for letting me blither. Let me know what you remember of Dad, what you think about him, and I love to hear any stories. We'll talk to you all later. Thanks. Bye-bye.
I'm a bad